Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say what many others have said already, is that this has been a great conference. I'm really, really happy that we were invited, and thank you so much. It's an amazing group of people and an amazing encounter of ideas about transitional justice, a subject that we've been deeply involved with for 15 years, ever since we made our film in Peru about the Truth Commission in Peru. Back in 2005, we released it. It was about the Peruvian Truth Commission, and that sort of opened our eyes to this world of transitional justice. And I'm going to share a story, which seems to be a theme here. In 2014, Pamela and I were invited to Colombia by the National Center for Historical Memory to a conference that they had set up on archives for peace, Archivos para la Paz. They brought archivists, they call them human rights archivists, but basically archives of infamy, I would call them. Things like the Stasi in Germany, or the archives of the National Police in Guatemala. People came from Argentina, from Chile, but also from Colombia itself. The Center for Historical Memory has an incredible network of activists that came from the 34 departments or states of Colombia. 2 representatives came from each one. And many of them were indigenous leaders or Afro-Colombian leaders, peasant leaders. And we also had, of course, representation from the cities. But after we showed Granito, which was the film that we showed there, because Granito, for those of you who haven't seen it, deals with a lot of different kinds of archives, I would call them, whether it be forensic anthropology through the work that Freddie does, the work that lawyers do, our work as filmmakers, all of these different elements coming together, archives that are discovered by the sort of military archives that were unearthed. And after the presentation, we were surrounded by all these people from the 34 departments of Colombia saying, you have to come to our place, to our community, and tell our story. We want our story told like the one you've just told. And, we felt deeply honored and humbled, too, because we said, we can't possibly make that many films, but there are so many good filmmakers in Colombia. Maybe you could talk to them, and then I realized that connection wasn't really just going to happen by itself. So out of that was the seed to imagine this new program that we've started at Skylight called Solidar Labs. And the idea of Solidar Labs is to bring filmmakers or people who run media collectives, they're not necessarily making feature-length films, but they're documenting, and bring them together with activists, grassroots leaders, and other kinds of artists, and technologists too, and any means that could be used to tell stories from an alternative stance and an alternative viewpoint, and the stories that aren't told in the mainstream media. And so we had our first Solidar Labs exactly a year ago in Colombia. And it was an amazing event. It's 5 days. We had an open call around the country. We got a couple of hundred applications for 20 slots. And we felt so much pressure that we increased it to 24, which is about as much as we could do. And it was a representation of really all corners of Colombia. You had to be in Colombia, be Colombian, and be living there to apply, because we thought that it was really important that everybody be in the same region, and it could have easy access. Not necessarily easy, because Colombia is a big country, but could have access, and they're living in the same political ecosystem and the same economic ecosystem. And so we thought that would increase the chances of the network that we wanted to create to endure. Because any of you who have been to conferences, you know how you get really friendly and great, you exchange cards and all, but then everybody goes their own way, and it was great, but it's hard to keep that connection going. Well, Solidarity Labs puts people together for 5 days outside the city. We went to this place in the mountains of Colombia with an incredible facilitator who has designed this idea of evolutionary leadership, as he calls it. And it's not a lab that's there to teach people how to make films. It's people who already know how to make films or how to tell stories in their medium, and people who have been activists for a long time and have a lot of experience, and in many cases have been risking their lives doing it. And they know their place. I mean, they know the place they live and what the issues are, and they have deep roots. So we thought that combining those two elements together and developing bonds of trust and solidarity and getting to know each other, we wanted to see what would happen. So I'm going to show you a short film that we made at last year's, the first Solidarity Lab, which took place in Colombia. And this will give you an idea of how it works and what came out of it. We're hoping to do many more Solidarity Labs, and in fact, we have one planned for Guatemala next year. We don't have the date set yet, but it's going to happen next year in Guatemala. And we hope to also take it to the US, to Peru, Brazil, Chile. We have many. We want to create eventually a network of these solidarity networks, because the one in Colombia has proven to be incredibly resilient. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after we watch the film. So could I have the lights down, please? And maybe I might ask for the volume in a minute. But a little more volume.
En Colombia tenemos una gran dificultad, y es que somos muy dispersos. Estamos cada quien por su lado. Espero que el laboratorio permita encontrarnos, conocernos y a partir de ahí trabajar y proyectar y soñar juntos.
El Solidarity Labs fue una idea que en realidad nació aquí en Colombia. Empezamos a pensar cómo podemos hacer eso para sembrar esas semillas y juntar activistas con cineastas y artistas. Que aquí no es que uno entra con un proyecto para pulirlo, sino que creo que de aquí van a nacer ideas y van a nacer redes.
Este escenario de producir proyectos entre todos no es usual. Entonces me parece que es uno de los retos más bonitos, más interesantes, de los retos más chéveres que plantea este espacio, es ese de producir proyectos juntos.
En Antioquia han pasado todos los ejércitos que han disputado este conflicto. Ha sido fundamentalmente una respuesta de una sociedad en la que vivimos con muchísimas complejidades y muchísimas contradicciones y muchas desigualdades.
Hay un enfrentamiento cerca de mi casa. Después de eso, soy declarado objetivo militar. Ese fue el cambio de mi vida, ¿no? De ser un agricultor, salir a hacer fotografía.
Que viví en miedo, que viví sintiendo la muerte todo el tiempo, que en cierta manera cambió mi perspectiva y mi visión de cómo veo las cosas. Digamos que al momento de tú crear, al momento de soñar, ese miedo está latente, está presente.
A los 6 años un grupo armado me pone un arma en la espalda y entonces ahí digamos que mi infancia comienza a transformarse y a cambiar. Y le digo a mi madre que me enseñe a leer para entender un poco más el país donde estoy.
La guerra es la consecuencia, no es la causa del problema. En la guerra se expresan los problemas en que vivimos como sociedad desde hace muchísimo tiempo.
Yo nací y ya había guerra y espero que antes de morirme podamos decir que no la hay, o que por lo menos estamos en un proceso de una construcción de una paz.
parece tan importante que se den espacios como este para que construyamos red de afecto.
El trabajo que estamos haciendo es para crear un futuro diferente. Entonces, para entrar en un futuro diferente hay que articular ese futuro, hay que pintarlo.
Bueno, yo creo que es una necesidad y una obligación imaginar un mundo distinto.
Yo me imagino un mundo donde ya no te miren por tu color de piel, ni por tu estrato socioeconómico, sino que te miren por lo que hay aquí y lo que hay aquí.
Donde quepamos todos y todas, donde desde las diferencias podamos construir. Sí, no creo en un mundo que pensemos igual, creo en un mundo donde estemos los blancos, los amarillos, los verdes, los rojos, los emocionales, los racionales, y todos, y podamos construir a partir de ahí.
Yo quiero un mundo donde las mujeres estemos en el poder político, en el que las mujeres tomamos las decisiones.
Donde no haya ni uno más asesinado ni desaparecido, ni un feminicidio tampoco.
Sueño con unos niños en el Pacífico con la oportunidad de estar en una universidad. Pero también sueño con que esos niños tengan una educación muy contextualizada, una educación que no los saque de su contexto, de su cultura, que no los lleve a odiar lo de ellos, sino al contrario, apoderarse de eso.
Me imagino un mundo en el que la educación sea el motor de la sociedad, en el que el arte y la cultura jueguen un papel muy importante, en el que los jóvenes no tengan que emigrar a las ciudades para sobrevivir.
Y a pesar de las dificultades, siempre pienso que puede ser posible otro mundo, porque afortunadamente tenemos vida, tenemos energía, y aunque muchas veces nos quieran como bajar de nota, como debilitar, siempre hay algo que nos mantiene activos.
Pero creo yo que todo depende de esos hombres y mujeres que quieren ese cambio, que piensan en que un mundo es mejor, podamos continuar haciéndolo a pesar de todas las dificultades, a pesar de todas las miles de barreras que tengamos, nos mantengamos firmes y podemos demostrar de que sí es posible.
Thank you. I only have, I guess, another minute left, but as I said, we want to take, the next Solidarity Labs will be in Guatemala. We feel that this is an effective way to share our model and get other filmmakers into a space with activists. And the group in Colombia, which at the end of our session last year, a year ago exactly, we created a WhatsApp group of all the participants. Well, that group has been active every single day since it was created. And here, it's just, this is just the past month. It's just goes. There's sharing information, support for each other, videos, photos, denouncements of if somebody gets a death threat or good things that happen, or going to each other's festivals. It's just been amazing to see how this network has just taken on a life of its own. So that's very encouraging, and we're hoping that all the Solidarity Labs networks will be like seeds that we plant out there for to create narratives based on human rights, on justice, on equality, by people at the grassroots level and and filmmakers who that's the kind of films that they want to make. So that's what we're looking forward to. So thank you very much.